আমার প্রিয় ছাত্রছাত্রী এবং এখানে উপস্থিত সকলকে আমি দেবদত্তা চ্যাটার্জি হীরালাল মজুমদার মেমোরিয়াল কলেজ ফর উইমেনের কম্পিউটার সায়েন্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের পক্ষ থেকে আজকের ওয়েবিনারে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমাদের সঙ্গে আজ অনেকেই এমন রয়েছেন যারা হয়তো কম্পিউটার সায়েন্স ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডের নন। তাদের জন্য আজকের ওয়েবিনারের টপিকটি শুনতে একটু খটোমটো লাগলেও কম্পিউটার সায়েন্সের আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্সের কিছু সুবিধা বোধহয় আমরা প্রত্যেকেই নিজের অজান্তে রোজ পেয়ে থাকি। আমরা কি কখনো ভেবে দেখেছি ইউটিউব, নেটফ্লিক্স আমাদের পছন্দের শোগুলো পরপর কি করে সাজিয়ে দেয়? বা ফেসবুকে গ্রুপ ফটো যখন আমরা আপলোড করি সেখানে যারা যারা আছে ফেসবুক সেটা ফেস কি করে রিকগনিশন করে দেয়? বা সেলফ ড্রাইভিং কার তো আমরা সকলেই শুনে থাকবো, তা সেই গাড়ি চলে কিভাবে? কি করে বা অ্যামাজন, ফ্লিপকার্ট আমাদের পছন্দের জিনিসগুলো অফার থাকলে সহজেই আমাদেরকে ইনফর্ম করে দেয়। আমাদের আজকের ওয়েবিনারে আমরা আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্সের মেশিন লার্নিং এর সেই দিকগুলোই জানবো আমাদের আজকের মাননীয় স্পিকার ডক্টর সিদ্ধার্থ রায়ের থেকে। তবে তার আগে আমি প্রিন্সিপাল ম্যাডামকে অনুরোধ করব তার কিছু মূল্যবান বক্তব্যের মাধ্যমে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানের শুভ সূচনা করবার জন্য। ম্যাডাম।
ধন্যবাদ দেবদত্তা। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাবো আমাদের ওয়েবিনার অর্গানাইজিং কমিটি এবং বিশেষ করে তার নেতৃত্বে যিনি আছেন শ্রী প্রদীপ্ত মুখার্জিকেও, যাদের সহযোগিতা এবং সমর্থনে আমাদের আইকিউএসি এবং কম্পিউটার সায়েন্স আজকের এই আলোচনা চক্র বা আন্তর্জালিকের সূচনা করেছে। এ প্রসঙ্গে সত্যি বিষয়টি ভেবে দেখার মতো যে আমরা যান্ত্রিকভাবেই এই ধরনের ডিজিটাল সিস্টেমগুলোকে ব্যবহার করি, তার পেছনে যে রহস্য নাকি সত্যি মিস্টিরিয়াস মিস্ট্রি বলবো, সেটা কিভাবে কাজ করে সে নিয়ে কখনো মাথা ঘামাই না। আমি স্বাগত জানাই অধ্যাপক সিদ্ধার্থ রায় মহাশয়কে, আমাদের কলেজের সমস্ত অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকা, শিক্ষাবন্ধু, ছাত্রী সকলের তরফ থেকে তাকে আন্তরিক কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই তার মূল্যবান সময় আমাদের দেওয়ার জন্য। আশা করছি তার বক্তব্যের আলোকে আমরা আলোকিত হব এবং এই রহস্যে আবৃত অংশটির কিছুটা হলেও আমাদের কাছে স্পষ্ট হয়ে উঠবে। আমি সমস্ত অংশগ্রহণকারীদের স্বাগত এবং অভিনন্দন জানাই। প্রত্যেকটি আন্তর্জালিকে আমাদের সঙ্গে থেকে যারা আমাদের উৎসাহ বৃদ্ধি করে চলেছেন। এবং এ প্রসঙ্গে আমি ডক্টর রূপা সেন, আমাদের আইকিউএসি কোঅর্ডিনেটর, তাকে আজকের আন্তর্জালিক পরিচালনার জন্য অনুরোধ জানাই। ওভার টু ডক্টর রূপা সেন।
ধন্যবাদ ম্যাডাম। আমি আমাদের আজকের যে আলোচনার যে থিম স্থির হয়েছে সে বিষয়ে আমাদের আজকের বক্তাকে আমাদের সামনে উপস্থাপনের জন্য আহ্বান করছি। স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি সকলকে যারা উপস্থিত রয়েছেন। আশা করি আমরা সবাই এনজয় করব। ওভার টু দেবদত্তা।
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম। আজকে আমাদের সঙ্গে আমরা পেয়েছি ডক্টর সিদ্ধার্থ রায় স্যারকে। স্যারের সম্পর্কে ফর্মালিটি করে আমি কি আর ইন্ট্রোডাকশন দেবো, একটা কথা না বলেই পারছি না। ডক্টর সিদ্ধার্থ রায় এখন কারেন্টলি হেরিটেজ কলেজে অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট প্রফেসর। কিন্তু স্যারের সাথে আমার আলাপ আজ থেকে অনেক বছর আগে, 2007 সালে। বলতে গেলে আমার কম্পিউটার সায়েন্সের জীবনের সূচনা স্যারের হাত ধরেই। কি করে নন কম্পিউটার সায়েন্স ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড থেকে আসা একটা স্টুডেন্টকে মোটিভেট করে সেই সাবজেক্টটাকে ভালোবাসা শেখানো যায়, সেটা সত্যি স্যারের কাছ থেকে শিক্ষণীয়। এখনো অবধি আমি যেটুকুনি কম্পিউটার সায়েন্স থেকে জানতে পেরেছি বা আমার স্টুডেন্টগুলোকে যদি কিছুটা পরিমাণও মোটিভেট করতে পারি, সেই সবটাই শ্রেয় আমি আমার স্যার ডক্টর সিদ্ধার্থ রায়কে দিতে চাই। স্যার, ওভার টু ইউ স্যার।
অনেক ধন্যবাদ প্রিন্সিপাল ম্যাডামকে, ধন্যবাদ আইকিউসি কোঅর্ডিনেটরকে, এবং অনেক ধন্যবাদ দেবদত্তা গাঙ্গুলিকে আমাকে ইনভাইট করার জন্য। আজকের আমার বিষয়বস্তু যেটা বলা হলো, দেবদত্তা ঠিকই বলেছেন যে আমাদের এখানে এখন আমরা সমস্ত ব্যাপারে in every cases we are affected by the AI, actually artificial intelligence. আমি ইনফ্যাক্ট আমি ইংলিশেই কনভার্ট করবো যখন আমি স্পিকটা দেবো, আমার মনে হয় প্রবলেম হবে না তাতে কোনো। আমি কি ইংলিশে বলবো না বাংলায় বলবো? হ্যালো,
যেটাতে আপনার সুবিধা,
আচ্ছা,
কোনো অসুবিধা নেই, যেটাতে আপনার সুবিধা।
ওকে, আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্স সম্বন্ধে যেটা বলি, হয়তো এই ধারণাটা আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্স, এটা কিন্তু আমরা ইরেসপেক্টিভ অফ এনি ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড সবাই।
স্যার সরি ফর দ্য ইন্টারাপশন
হ্যাঁ,
স্যার,
yes.
এক মিনিট স্যার।
হুম,
স্যার যদি আপনি একটু বাইলিঙ্গুয়াল হন ভালো হয়, কারণ কিছু বোধহয় আমাদের এখানে পার্টিসিপেন্ট আছেন যারা অন্য স্টেটের, ওই জন্য ওরা বলছে যদি ইংরেজি হয়, তো আপনি যদি একটু
No.
বাইলিঙ্গুয়াল হন সবচেয়ে ভালো
I
হয়।
can continue in my
Thank
English.
you,
I
sir.
don't have any problem.
Thank
Okay. So
Thank
that's
you,
why,
sir.
because actually it is started in Bengali. That's why I've started in Bengali. So I don't
Yeah.
have a problem
Thank
to
you.
communicate in English.
ঠিক আছে।
Okay. So no problem for that. Okay. So once again, thank you very much to the organization committee of the Hiralal Mojumdar Memory College, principal, IQAC coordinator, and special thanks to Devdatta Chatterjee Ganguly, who actually invited me to speak the topic on this particular part, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think that all of you have heard this name, AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. In fact, some of the example already given by the Professor Devdatta Chatterjee, that Netflix and the self-driving car. So these are the all application. Not only here, we are talking about the smart city project, we are talking about the healthcare system. So everywhere there are lots of application of this artificial intelligence or machine learning. So let me start with my point, that is machine learning and the deep learning, and together with the artificial intelligence. So let me share my screen. So I am audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So my topic is today is deep diving into machine learning and deep learning. But before that, let me, so is it visible, that particular PowerPoint? Is it visible to
Yes,
all
sir.
of you?
It's visible, sir.
So what I'm going to discuss today, that these are the part, that means first I just discussed about the artificial intelligence, and then from artificial intelligence to what are the various applications of AI. Then I move from AI to machine learning, then how actually it will work, what are the different topics of machine learning, and I also use some use cases of various machine learning algorithm. Then I move to the from machine learning to the deep learning, and then comparing machine learning and deep learning and some industrial use case. So that is my overall point. Also many things we have to discuss, but obviously I will just ignore the most technical part today, because it's each of the part, that means itself AI, machine learning, even each of the algorithm is a big topic. Okay, so I just give you as much as simple, so that everybody can understand this part easily. So first of all, why this is so important today? Now business world, they are continuously changing to technological driven, that means that is based on the data, because now data is the new part or new fuel of an energy. Any organization can take the decision on the basis of the data, and data plays a very important role nowadays in the society. Now due to the internet and due to the rapid expansion of the network technology, you know that per day 49 zettabyte. Just think about it. 49 zettabyte. Zettabyte means 10 to the power 23, when 10 to the power 21 bytes. Data is stored in the data warehouse till today. That means in the 2020, and it is expected to grow 175 zettabytes by 2025 in the machine learning. So it has revolutionized industry like medicine, healthcare, medicine, banking, several other industry, because what human can do, they can work on the data, but whenever data is very huge, actually the terminology is called as big data. So big data means it contains large volume of data. So to handling this data, that is not possible for the general human being. So here comes to the artificial intelligence and the machine learning. They can accurately analyze. So they can accurately analyze the data, and accordingly, they can simply give the result or give the prediction part. Now, so what is AI basically? Artificial intelligence is we are just make the machine intelligence, because we know that what we are talking about, the computer cannot take any decision on itself. Whatever we are giving the instruction, on the basis of that, it can work. But the main part of the artificial intelligence is that we have to so that machine can think like the human being. The main objective of the artificial intelligence was that we simply have to reduce the gap between the human and the machine. So what human can do, the machine also can do. So this common people, AI, can be referred as automated responses, just like voice recognition system. I think all of you have heard this name, Siri or Alexa, or any chest pain computers, all self-driving cars. These are all application of the artificial intelligence. These are all application of the artificial intelligence. So that is the picture of AI, machine learning, deep learning, and big data. If we see the picture, you find that the artificial intelligence means it will enable the machine to think. That means a machine will work like a human being. What is ML? Machine learning is the dataset of AI. So it is a subset of artificial intelligence, which is used statistical tool. There are different types of statistical tool to explore and analyze the data. Mind it, this statistical tool can be also analyzed by the human being. But whenever the data is very large, then human cannot do it correctly. So in that case, the machine learning will do that. And deep learning is another subset of machine learning, which will work different types of application like image processing or medical, that means medical image processing, or different types of bioinformatics. So that will use multi-neural network. What is multi-neural network? That we'll discuss later. And you find that overall there is some big data. So what is big data? Big data means it contains large volume of data. That means where the data is collected from various kinds of social network, data is collected from various types of data processing, okay, and all kinds of data that is stored in the data warehouse, and all kinds of data that will be simply analyzed by the organization, because that is very, very important nowadays. For example, that how actually it will help the analyze. Previously, for selling any product, what organization they do? They simply do the market survey, and according to that, they simply segment the market. But now, this is automatically that will be performed with the help of this artificial intelligence or called machine learning, because whenever it will capture the particular customer, they can easily understand what is the preference of the customer. Sometimes we just post something in the particular Facebook or social network. From that point of view, they can analyze that what customer preference, what is the customer, what like. According to that, they give individual emphasis on this particular customer, and they will offer their product and services. So in that way, this machine learning or artificial intelligence that will work. Now, this is the different areas of artificial intelligence. What are the different areas? One is called machine learning, just I am going to discuss, and that is the deep learning. Number two is natural language processing. That means it will process our natural language. That means suppose we are typing something, automatically it will be corrected by the machine. Sometimes it will, suppose there is some review for any kind of product and particular services. Then whether the review is positive or negative, if we just put it or feed it in the computer, then it will work that whether it is positive or negative. And it has tremendous utility in our business part. Then speech. Speech is again another speech to text and text to speech. Whenever we are talking, then automatically that will be converted into text. And whenever we are writing something, that will be automatically converted to the speech. Robotics. It's just like a robot. It will act as a human being. So all types of decision-making procedure that can be taken part with that can take care with the help of this robotics. Expert system. In fact, the expert system that is based on the rule-based system, just like our medical diagnosis. So how the medical expert will work, this particular expertise part that will be fed into the machine where the doctors are not available when patient to come, then the general user just input the symptom and according to that it will print the output. So that is the expert system, how the expert system will work. Then computer vision. So any kind of image recognition, any kind of machine vision, that will be performed by this computer vision. So this is the whole world of the artificial intelligence. It is so vast. So each of these parts, now there are lots of work, lots of research work is going on. Even industry, they put emphasis on each of the part and they're investing huge amount of money to automate their system. The objective is that we can explore. So we can explore this artificial intelligence everywhere in our business market. Now, next is the machine learning. So as I explained, that machine learning means it will use some statistical tool or it will use some statistical tool to find the match and then give the prediction for the future. What does it mean? It means we just give some data and prepare some model, and that model will be trained on the data, and on the basis of data they will simply identify or they will simply predict a particular pattern. Suppose, for example, like infant, if I just tell that whether it is apple or whether it is any kind of fruit, how the particular child can recognize, because we are training them, because this is apple, it looks like this, the color is like this, the shape of this, then it can understand, okay, this is apple. So in that way it can categorize the particular fruit, or it is the banana. So same thing machine learning will do. In what happens in the machine learning, we give some input data, that data will be trained, and after that we give some experimental part, and then on the basis of its trained data it will give the prediction. So that is here machine learning will simply train and give us the prediction. So the algorithm is based on that. So that is the particular, suppose whenever we are writing some algorithm, we just instruct the machine, please give me the output. But here no algorithm is there. Algorithm is used to train the model, and that model will be trained and then tell us the actual prediction. Okay. So what are the process? Just I identify, first we have to identify the problem. After identifying the problem, then we move the features processing. Feature processing means there are different features of any object. Features means like what is the size, what is the color, what is the weight, how it looks like. So these are the different features are there. After collecting these features, this is called, sometimes it is called feature engineering, then we have to simply split the data into training and testing part. Why? Because whenever we are training the model, then it will train on a particular data and it will just check whether it gives the accuracy on the particular testing data. Suppose there are 100 data are there. So what is the procedure? Generally, it is given that you have to split it in 80:20 or 90:10. That means 80% data will be trained, and then it will give the prediction on the 20% data. Sometimes it is called validation data or validate. So training is on 90%, testing is for 10%. After that, we have to build the actual model. Model means there are different types of models are there. On the basis of the algorithm, we have to build a model, and then we have to train the model. After that, the model will give the prediction. But if we find that testing is not accurate, then we have to do the parameter tuning. That means again we have to train the model. That means the training is not accurate. So this is continuous process until the train is not converged. Okay. So this is the process for the basic machine learning steps. Machine learning steps. Now, next, this machine learning, there are 3 types of machine learning. What are those machine learning? One is called supervised learning, other is called unsupervised learning, the third one is called reinforcement learning. So one is called supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. What is supervised learning? Supervised learning means in the supervised learning, the data set is on which our model is labeled. That means there will be some label on that particular data. What does it mean by label? That means you find there are different figures are there, like the polygon or hexagon, square, triangle. So each of the labels are there associated with that. Then we have to train this model, mixture of this model. Then we have to give, it will give the prediction. So there will be some test data, square and triangle. So from that train, it will just give us the prediction that whether the particular tested data is square or triangle. So this is called the supervised learning. That means supervised learning is based on some level data. Some level must be associated with the particular data. On the basis of that, it will give us the prediction. Now, this supervised learning again can be differentiated in different parts. There are two types of supervised learning. One is called regression, another is called classification. This regression sometimes is called prediction. So this regression again are of two types. One is called simple regression, number two is called multiple regression. In classification, there are two types. One is linear and another is non-linear. Linear means the data will be linear, non-linear means the particular curve will be non-linear. Now, so this linear regression, again there is some logistic regression and support vector machine or SVM, that is under linear. But mind it, this support vector machine can also be non-linear. And under non-linear, there are different types of algorithms are there. One is called KNN or K nearest neighbor, NIP-based, decision tree, random forest. So these are all algorithms. These are the main algorithms that are used in the supervised training model, and that model are used for different use case. Okay, so these are the different types of model. So now I'm exploring each of these model and their application for each of these model. So that is the basic taxonomy of the supervised learning model. First of all, simple regression. I think those who have studied mathematics, statistics, or economics, they're already familiar with this model. Simple regression model means it is totally simply there will be some points will be given and we predict the outcome of the particular dependent variable. So there will be just, let me see, this is the model. That means there will be some data point. There will be some data point will be there. This is the x-axis and that is the y-axis. So the points are given, the red plot as that the points, and we have to draw a line. We have to draw a line and the regression line. Why regression line? From this line, we can predict that what will be the prediction in a particular x-axis, what will be the value for in a particular value of x, that we can find. So what is the objective of the regression? We have to find this particular straight line or particular line in such a way that will be optimized. That will be optimized, and that we can find. So any linear equation that will be always from the y equal to b0 plus b1x, and here the y is the independent variable and x is the independent variable. So what is our objective? Our objective is that we have to find out this b0 and b1. This is the constant term, b0 and b1 term, and there will be some other term that is called error. How we can find out the error? Error can be find out by simply subtracting the dependent variable and this b0 minus b1x. We found the objective is that we have to minimize the error. The objective is that we have to minimize the error. If the error is minimum, then we can find that this is the prediction line. And what will be the error? How we can identify the error? See, this is the error, this is the predictive value, and this is the yi. So we have to minimize it and then square it. Why square? Then again question, why square? Because this means actually we have to find the distance from the point to the line. And if the sum of the distance from the point to the line is minimum, then only we can find that the particular line is very optimal. Okay, and why we are taking square? Because some of the line there is above the line, some of the point they are below the line. So if we simply sum of them, positive and negative, that will simply cancel out. That's why we are taking the square of that, so that we are getting the minimum value. So we are getting the value, and our objective is that we have to find out the minimum value. That is the simple regression model, and this model has different types of applications are there. One is self-forecasting, risk analysis, then housing application to predict a particular price of other factor, then financial application to predict stock market. So from the previous, actually this simple regression is based on the previous data. From previous data, we are taking the data and then we can predict that what may be the in future. That is called the simple regression model. That is called the simple regression model. If the data is linear, why it is called linear? See, the data point, that means these are the data, this is looks like linear. Linear means they follow a straight line, okay, not like a curve, because sometimes, but this curve point may not be linear. At that time, we have to use the polynomial regression. Polynomial regression means, because at that time, if we use linear model, then obviously it will not give us the actual prediction. See, this is the polynomial regression. Polynomial regression means this is the data, the particular point that is given, that is not linear in sense, but this is the polynomial. Polynomial means we have to draw a curve which will be optimized, and that will give us the prediction. And that's why this is called the polynomial regression. This gives us the polynomial regression. So this polynomial regression is used for the non-linearity model. This polynomial regression is used for the non-linearity model. In fact, this example, just for example, now you know that due to this COVID-19, so what will be the affected percent after September? Sometimes we find in the radio and newspaper that they are predicting some models that what will be the prediction, what will be the particular affected rate of COVID positive in the month of September. Sometimes we find that it will be high in month of September, it will be high in month of October. How they can predict this thing? Actually, their predicting is based on this polynomial regression, because here it will not follow the linear regression. In fact, I have tested it using the Kaggle dataset. I just use the data because all data is available in the Kaggle dataset. So when I use this thing, and I find that the simple linear regression, that is giving me the worst condition, that means worst prediction result. But whenever I'm using the polynomial regression, it is more it will give us much better result. So that is the use of the polynomial regression. That is the application. Sometimes the year of experience and salary of the employee. So that can also increase using polynomial. That means non-linearity. That means if the position is high, if the experience is high, then salary will be grow exponentially. So that is the other example of the polynomial regression. So these are the part of the regression part. So regression means basically it will simply give us the predict a continuous value. From the prediction model, from the regression model or prediction model, what we can use, that means what will be the particular salary, or what is the prediction of the particular person after 15 years of experience or in this position. So that is give us some continuous value. What will be the COVID-19 patient in the month of October or month of November? From there also it can predict something. This is called continuous value. There is some other value that is called classification. So classification, that will be used the target level or category, and then according to that it will simply map this input variable to some discrete output variable. That means just forget about the mathematical term. Classification means it will simply categorize the part. Categorize the part means what is the category? That means suppose I am giving some fruit, say mango, banana, then pineapple. So it will categorize, this is the mango, this is banana, this is other mango. Okay, so this is the classification. So sometimes whenever the bank, they are giving some loan to the person, then they will simply find that whether the loan will be provided or loan will be given to the person, it is risky or safe. So there are different parameters out there. On the basis of that, that is called classification. Whenever particular email, whether the email is spam or ham, obviously there are different types of label. On the basis of that, it will simply classify that part. Identify a particular customer segmentation. Whenever any company, they want to sell some product, they simply identify that what will be the customer segmentation, and that is also based on the particular classification. Simply identify a kid, or these are simple example. Simply identify the kid will pass or fail in a particular example in an examination. So these are all called the classification problem. Now, under classification, again there are different types of algorithms. What are those algorithms? One is called logistic regression. So this regression means this category just give you the discrete value. That means either it will be, if it is the particular category, then it will give 1. That means the spam detection, yes or no, diabetes prediction, cancer prediction. So this kind of prediction, that will be given by the logistic regression. But for logistic regression, a particular function is used, that is called the sigmoid function. You find that sigmoid function is such a function that it will always give the map, the value into between 0 and 1. That means in the sigmoid function, if the curve goes to positive indefinitely, y predict value will be 1. If the curve goes to negative infinitely, then y predict value will be 0. So this function, this sigmoid function, is used to predict that is used in the logistic regression. There is some other algorithm that is called K nearest neighborhood. That is other algorithm in the particular classification problem. This KNN assume that all instances are point in the same n-dimensional space, and define neighbors in terms of the distance. So how actually it is measured? It is very easy. Just from the picture it will be clear. See, it will first find out the distance, then find the closest neighbor, and then vote for the label. See the figure 1. Say this is the particular point initial data. Now these are the different category. One is red, another is green. Then after that, this will identify whether it will belongs to class A or whether it will belongs to class B. So what it will find out? It will find the measurement, that is Euclidean distance, from this point to class A and from this point to class B. After that, it will find what will be the minimum distance. So from
মনে হয় স্যারের এন্ড থেকে কোনো নেটওয়ার্ক প্রবলেম হয়ে থাকবে। সবাইকে অনুরোধ করব একটু সঙ্গে থাকুন, স্যার নিশ্চয়ই এক্ষুনি জয়েন করবেন। আমাদের স্পিকারের সঙ্গে কন্ট্যাক্ট করেছি, স্যারের ওখানে কানেক্টিভিটির প্রচন্ড ইস্যু হচ্ছে, যে স্যার চেষ্টা করছেন রিকানেক্ট করবার। আপনারা সবাই একটু অপেক্ষা করুন, স্যার এক্ষুনি জয়েন করছেন।
Hello, I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. I'm extremely sorry because just my internet connection was off.
Okay, I don't know, something
no
is
issue,
happening
sir.
outside. Okay, so I'm using my mobile data. Okay, so extremely sorry for that. Okay, I don't know what's
Okay.
wrong with this. Okay. Hello, the screen is visible? Hello? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Extremely sorry due to internet
Yeah.
disturbance.
Please
Okay.
continue.
Uh, that is the problem for the online one. Okay. Now, so let me start with the logistic regression and KNN. K never, simple K neighborhood problem. Okay. So here you find that this particular point, that is a particular initial data, they will try to calculate the distance from X or from class A and class B, and after that it will find which is the closest distance. After that, if the closest distance is calculated, then it will be belongs to class A or class B. So this is the other types of classification problem. Third one is support vector machine. Under this support vector machine, this algorithm used to classify the data into two category or classes. So with the help of the SVM, one can perform both linear as well as non-linear classification. Now consider this SVM. SVM is, this is called a particular gap, and in this gap, this is called support vector. You find that there are some class A and class B. So we have to find a particular boundary. There will be some, this is called decision boundary. So which will be the optimal? Whether it is in the left side, then there will be right side. So support vector machine will provide us that particular sharp decision boundary which exactly divide this particular class 1 from class 2. That is about SVM or support vector machine. There is some other algorithm that is called the naive-Bayes classifier. In the naive-Bayes classifier, you assume a particular features in that class. Suppose we want to say that whether a particular apple will be sweet, what is the condition? So what will be the shape or what is the color? It is based on the color we can decide whether the particular whether it will be sweet or not. So this is called the naive-Bayes classifier. In the naive-Bayes model, it is easy to build and particularly useful for very kinds of large data set. And this is based on this other very famous algorithm and very famous theorem that is called based probabilities based classifier. Okay, in the probability based, you find that PC by X. So probability C is the condition, given X is the probability, so C is the targeted value, and PC is the prior probability of the classes. And this, on the basis of that, we can find this particular probability of a particular class. Then other algorithm that is called decision tree. In this decision tree, there are multiple sequence of decision. On the basis of that, it can
find the particular category. Suppose a job, whether a job will be accepted or not. How to find whether the job will be accepted or not? First we find whether the salary is greater than 75,000 or not. If it is greater, then we simply, there are two parts, yes or no. Either we not satisfied, so we discard the offer, or then we find out whether there is some employment retirement benefits are there. Then after it is yes, then we find that office is very near to my home. If it is yes, then we accept. Otherwise, in all other cases, we discard. So this is called the particular decision tree problem. So decision tree is other kinds of unsupervised machine learning algorithm. This tree is mainly used for predictive modeling. So where the particular, it will create the decision tree and is able to take the decision based on the particular user input. These are the other examples. Random forest. Now what random forest will do? Random forest simply particular algorithm which is used both classifier as the regression. That means this random forest will be used for classification problem as well as regression problem. Now mind it, each of these algorithm also can be used for regression model. That means predictive the continuous variable, or sometime it will be used for the classification model. Now what is the random model? Random forest model. Random forest model means it will simply select a particular sample of data set, random sample of data set. Then from the random sample of data set, it will simply construct a decision tree. Then from the decision tree, it will take the vote. On the basis of that, when we'll get the better vote, then we select the particular prediction result. This is called the random forest. So basically, there will be a simple, we randomly select some sample, we construct different trees. From the different trees, we are obtaining the values. From the different values, which it gives us the better result, then we select the particular tree as an optimal one. So this is called the random forest. So what is the working principle of the random forest? See, this is the training data. From the training data, we are using training sample. Then from the training sample, we are forming the different trees. From there, we are taking the vote, and then from the vote, we are use the prediction. So these are the various kinds of model. Now, so these all under the particular supervised learning algorithm. These are all under supervised learning algorithm. So supervised learning algorithm, there are two types. One is called a simple regression, other is called classification model. Now here I have used some case study and I simply run different algorithm and see the result. What will be the result? We find that I have used the sample for 566 and predict the person going to be affected throughout the different countries. And this dataset is based on the first week of February and taken from the Kaggle dataset. And we use basically 4 models here: KNN, net-based, random forest, and SVM using the Weka tool. And I also have used 10-fold cross validation for splitting that dataset. Again, I want to say something about 10-fold cross validation. Now, how I am splitting the data? I can split the data using simply 90-10 or 80-20. Now, in that case, whenever we are training the model, some of the data that is remain for the testing, okay, or 90-10, that means some of the model that is in the training set, but some of the model which are in the testing set that was not trained. That means there may be some biasness for the training data. In that case, we have to use the 10-fold or K-fold. This is called K-fold cross validation part. In that K-fold cross validation part, what I am doing, suppose this is the, I am just dividing the data into 10 different sets like K1, K2 up to K10. So how I am using here, every data set is used. Not a single data set will remain unused. For example, that for K1 to K10, I use the test data set as K10, first iteration, and K1 to K9 as a trained data set. In the second iteration, I have used K9 as a test data set, but from K1 to K10, all other trained data set. In iteration 3, what I am using? K8 as a test data set and K1 to K10 except K8 as a trained data set. So what we find at each of the iteration, we use each of the data set as a training set as well as testing data set. So there is no question of unbiasedness. So it is total unbiased. This is no question of biasness in this particular training data. So in this model, what I am using in the coronavirus detection scheme, I have used some Weka tool. Weka is a tool where we can use just input the data and we can get some simulation result. So we find there are different algorithms we are running in this Weka tool, and I find that according to this picture may not be clear to all of you. That's why again in the next slide I give the accuracy result. We find that KNN gives 66.780% accuracy. Net based that give us 69.61% accuracy. Random forest that will give us 69.61% accuracy. Support vector machine that will give us 81% accuracy. So these are the different accuracy level for different types of algorithm. So for the same data set where I am using the different algorithm, then here in this case SVM give us the better prediction. Support vector machine give us the better prediction, and that's why this SVM for this particular data set, SVM is the best preferable one. Okay, but that may not be true in other cases. In some other cases, maybe random forest give us the best result. So one of the objective is that how to find this particular algorithm, which algorithm give us the better result. For that, we have to train the model using different algorithm, and then on the basis of that, which give us the better result, then we have to select those model as the optimum one. For example, that SVM, support vector machine. This support vector machine here, it gives us the best result. That's why for this particular case, we select SVM as the best result. But in spite of that, there are different some directions are there, though it may not follow. So how actually algorithm will depend whether it will give us the best result or not, how to select the algorithm. First of all, we have to find how many number of examples in the training set, that means what is the size of the data set, whether the dimension of the feature space, that means where a particular data set many features, then some algorithm give us the better result, some algorithm give us the worst result. Is there any correlated features in the data set? And there are other factors that also exist in the particular algorithm. Okay, so these are the different choice on the basis of that a particular algorithm will follow. Generally, it has been observed that for highly dimensional space, that means large number of classifier or large number of space, SVM is better. For example, suppose handwritten recognition. Handwritten recognition means it contains various kind of classifier like A to Z, 1 to 3, anything it can contain. So here the classifier, number of classifier is much more than the other kind of space. So for that kind of space, this kind of text classification, we use the SVM, so support vector machine. But KNN or K nearest neighbor is used for noisy training data and is effective in case of large number of training example. That means whether the large number of training data are there, then at that case KNN will give us the better result. Random forest will give us the better result for high dimensional space as well as the large number of training example. For example, for cancerous patient, it is high dimensional spaces. Why? Because lots of features are there. On the basis of that, it can detect that whether the persons are malignant or benign. Okay, so there are large number of feature space are there. Again, it can contain large number of training data set as there. So at that time, random forest will give us the better result. So this is the way that how to select the particular algorithm. But mind it, this algorithm may not be true in all cases. All time it may not be true. Okay. Next is unsupervised data. So in the case of unsupervised data, what's happened? This unsupervised data, there is no label data. That's why this is called unsupervised. For example, the image of the input given are grouped together in supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and it will form that grouping. So basically unsupervised learning is based on some grouping mechanism. Suppose a students admitted in the college, initially they don't know each of the other. After 1 year, you find there are some groups. How they form this group? They form this group on the basis of some similarities. Suppose some of they prefer cricket, some of them they prefer football, some of they prefer music. On the basis of the similarity, they form the group, and on the basis of that, this unsupervised learning will be formed. So you find that there are mixture of colors are there, red, green, and blue. So we train them according to that. We find the similarity between each of the color, and then it will classify or it will categorize the particular unsupervised model. Okay, so basically this unsupervised model is used for clustering. Whenever we are used to clustering, then at that time the unsupervised model perform well. See, this is the different kinds of stone, and from there we just different types of stone, and from there different colors, and from there we just segregate in the different colors. Okay, so this is called a clustering. So unsupervised means it is basically a types of clustering. Unsupervised means it is basically type of clustering. Now, this clustering again are of two types. One is called direct clustering, another is called indirect clustering. Direct clustering is k-means clustering and hierarchical clustering, where the main objective is for customer market segmentation, targeting market, find optimal location of the tower. That will be performed using the direct clustering. And indirect clustering, that is dimension reduction, time series based analysis. This is under the indirect clustering. So here I am going to discuss, because this dimension reduction, that is another topic or another subject. Okay, another part. Time series based, that is a bigger one. So I am not going to cover that part. But for time series, any stock price sequence at every hour, that will give us the time series based. Similarly, text mining, face recognition, that can be performed by the dimension reduction. And this k-means clustering, this is used heavily for any kinds of clustering. So what is the actually how it will work? You find that in the k-means clustering, the main objective is that to minimize the sum of distance between 2 points and their respective cluster centroid. So first we simply find the number of cluster k. What is k? K may be 1, k may be 2, k may be 3, k may be 4, anything. It depends on. Now select the k random points from the data as a centroid. Now assign all points to the closest cluster centroid and recompute the centroid of newly formed cluster. Find that from the image, we find that there are two types. We just take one red and another green. Then it will find the similarity. That means it will find the minimum distance. Which is minimum distance? According to that, it forms the group. Similarly, other also forms the group. And after forming the group, it will again recompute whether the forming the group, it is closer or not. If it is not closer, then it will move join to the other group. So in that way, this k-means clustering will work. But in case of hierarchical model or hierarchical clustering, every point will be treated as cluster, and each of the cluster will again combine together to give the bigger cluster. Okay, that is the hierarchical clustering. Now, which is what cluster will be used? Generally, hierarchical cluster cannot handle the big data, but k-means cluster, they can handle the big data. And k-means cluster requires prior knowledge of k. That means we have to identify the k number of cluster that we want to divide. That means on the basis of that, we have to decide the clustering. But in hierarchical, particular hierarchical clustering, we don't need to identify this k. I need to identify this k. So these are all under the unsupervised machine learning algorithm. Now, whenever we are training the model, there are different poor performance. We find that there may be some poor performance of the machine learning model. So why this poor performance may occur? There are two things are there for any kind of poor performance. One is called underfit, another is called overfit. What does it mean by underfit and overfit? Underfit means, suppose we want to train nonlinear model with some linear model. There are some nonlinear datasets are there. We want to train it using linear dataset. At that time, it is called underfitted. For example, what will be the, just I mentioned that, what will be the corona positive in the month of September or October if I simply draw or if I simply use the linear regression, that will give us the worst result. But if I use polynomial regression, that will give us the better result. There, so this is called underfit. This is called the underfit. Okay, this is called the underfit. Now, there is other part that is called overfitting. Overfitting means you find that here, what is the problem in the overfitting? Each of the data is trained in such a way that it cannot give us any kind of trends. That is called overfit problem. Overfit problem means, see, find that in the overfit problem, why it's happened? Suppose some noise may be used in the particular data set. So overfit problem also train those noise. And the problem is that whenever it finds some unmatched data, it cannot predict. Or sometimes it cannot predict, or it cannot see. If we find underfitted, it actually doesn't support any particular, it never give you the correct prediction. But overfitted, we cannot find any trend from the overfitted data. You find, because each of the data is trained, so it cannot find any trend. And what is the good one? Good one means between underfit and overfit. So for underfit, what is the objective? So this is the underfit, means whenever we want to train the model, linear, non-linear model with the linear model, and how to reduce that? We have to use increase the model complexity, increase the number of features, performing feature engineering, and removing noise from the data. So in that way, we can reduce the underfeed. And overfeed means we have lots of data. Each of the data is trained, even noise is trained. So whenever we are giving some other testing data, that may not identify correctly. So in that way, what we have to do, we have to increase the training data and reduce the model complexity. So we find that in case of the underfeed data, what's happened, that particular data model, what's happened, this is give us the highly biased. But in case of the overfitted model, it give us the highly variance. Okay. Now, there is some other parts that is called reinforcement learning. What is reinforcement learning? This is the other types of machine learning algorithm. In this reinforcement learning, the algorithm allows some software agents and machines to automatically determine the ideal behavior within a specific context to maximize its performance. See, here the machine will be treated as agent, any robot will be treated as agent, and it will try to do some job. And whenever it give and learn from this experience, and when it will learn from its experience, when it will achieve its perfection, then it will be trained on the basis of that particular part. So that's why this is called reinforcement learning. For example, the world's largest industrial robot makers, Funa, is developing robot that use reinforcement learning to figure out how to do things. So what robot will do, it will use the reinforcement learning to pick a particular device from one box and putting it into the container. Whether it is success or fail, it memorizes the object and gains knowledge and train itself to do this job with greater speed and accuracy. So suppose it unsuccessful. So what's happened? It will train that, okay, if we put the object in this place, it will be unsuccessful. From next time, it will try to put in other object in the container. And if it is successful, then it will retain those training. It will treat it as a training model. Okay. So these are all about this particular supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Then one is neural network. Now, sometimes neural network means where the features are more. At that time, we can use the neural network. For example, the price of a house. We find what will be the price of a house. We can simply use the simple linear regression. So when the size of the house will be more, price will be more. So here, in this case, only one feature is there. What is that? That is called size of the house. And we use one neuron. Neuron means it will take an input, apply some activation function to it, and generate an output. And one of the most commonly activation function that is used called rectilinear linear unit. That means it will always map the continuous variable to the discrete variable. Then this construction, how to construct this thing. So neural network, see, there are different features are there. One is room size, number of beds, location, and family size. On the basis of that, it will simply weight. On the basis of that, it will put its weight. And this is called the particular neuron. So it will accept the input and it will pass it to the hidden feature. So this center one, middle one, this is called hidden layer. Okay. So there is input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. Hidden layer will extract all the weightage and compute it and pass these features to the output layer. And that is called the construction of the neural network. Okay. In that way, we have to find out the neural network. Next, coming to the deep learning method. Now, what is deep learning? Deep learning, the basics of deep learning is based on the neural network. In that case, it will use, this deep learning will use the GPU. GPU means graphical process unit. So, why? Because it trained the large of image sets, and to process this image, our ordinary CPU cannot work. So for that, we need the graphical process unit. This deep learning, most popular architecture, one is based on ANN or artificial neural network, other is called CNN, convolution neural network, and other is called RNN or recursive neural network. Artificial neural network will be based on the text-based data. So it will give us the output or prediction on the basis of the text-based data. For CNN, it will give us the image classification. So in that case, what's happened? It will image any kind of image that will be classified this is used for any kind of time series operation. This is used for any kind of time series operation, and that is used for the recurrent neural network, any kind of time series data. So let me explain each of these points. ANN. We find that ANN is an artificial neural network. Actually, it is same as our human particular network, okay, biological network, where neurons are there, and it will take the input, wait, it will compute those things. So this middle part transfer is called the neuron, and it will send the output. This kind of artificial neural network is called the feed-forward neural network. This kind of artificial neural network is called the feed-forward neural network, because it will always propagate in the forward direction, not in the backward direction. It will always propagate in the forward direction, not in the backward direction. Okay. There is some other part that is called recurrent neural network. Now, recurrent neural network, what's happened? Recurrent neural network, it will capture the sequential image, but unlike feed-forward network, it can be used the same network. That means RNN has a recurrent connection on the hidden state. The looping constraints that ensure the sequential information is captured in the input data. Now, why RNN is used? Sometimes when there are some sequence of images are there, at that time it cannot use this particular artificial neural network, because artificial neural network or the particular convolution neural network, they cannot use this particular, or they cannot memorize the sequence. So in that case, what's happened? This recurrence neural network is used. Okay. Now, next one is convolution neural network. This is very important part, and that is heavily used nowadays. That is called convolution neural network. Now, in case of convolution neural network, what's happened? Convolution neural network is another kind of fast-forwarding neural network, where this neural network is used for any kind of image classification, Now, in this case, this particular CNN, there are 4 layers are there. What are the layers? One is called convolution layer, number 2 is called pooling layer, number 3 is called flattering layer, and number 4 is called fully connected layer. This convolution layer is used for feature extraction, first layer, that is the lowest layer of the CNN. Pooling layer, that will reduce the number of weights and control overfitting. Flattering layer prepares the output to be fed into fully connected layer. And finally, the final layer, that is fully connected layer, responsible to sum up all the detection made in the previous layer. So this is called the CNN, or convolution neural network. Now, in this convolution neural network, lots of work is going on in this particular area, especially from image classification, medical image classification. They use this kind of CNN, or convolution neural network. Okay. So this is one of the case study, or this is one of the part where the CNN is used. How it actually it is used? You find that in this case, the 2-digit, actually handwritten digit recognition, where this CNN, or convolution neural network, is extensively used. Now, you find that when 2 is the input, it will convolute this. There is some maximum pooling. On the basis of that, from the fully connected network, it will process, propagate, convolution network, extract the features, then it will maximum pooling, it will reduce the dimension, and from the dimension, it will simply try to match which figure it will match, and according to that, it will give us the prediction result. And that is called the one of the application for CNN, or handwritten recognition. See, this is other part, that is the checks X-ray detection scheme. Here, some checks X-ray is used to identify whether the particular person has corona positive or negative. On the basis of that, what it will do, it will simply extract the checks X-ray image. Then there are some pre-trained model. It will train the model using the 4 layers, that is called convolution, then ReLU, then pooling, and finally fully connected. And then what will be the tested result? That will be given whether the particular image is positive or negative. So this is the other application. This is the other application for the convolution neural network. Okay, and in fact, nowadays that is heavily used for detecting cancer, whether the particular skin patient has cancer or not. Okay, any kind of medical image processing, that is used heavily the convolution neural network. This is the other application, that is the automatic number plate recognition, or NPR. You find that actually this is used in some smart city where CNN model is heavily used. What happens whenever the car is moving or any vehicle is moving, it will capture the particular number plate. Then after capturing the number plate, there are obviously some process. It will segment those number plate, and after segmenting those image, it will simply convert it into corresponding OCR, optical characteristic recognition, and then put it into the output file, then put it into the output file. And according to that, this CNN will work. But mind it, the CNN will not alone can do it, because a stream of number plate that will be generated in real-time system. So how CNN will recognize, how CNN will remember that which the symbol comes after what? Suppose here it is given JA62, but how it will understand that whether J appears first, then A will appear first, because it doesn't have in that back propagation. So that is the drawback of this CNN. So this type of problem can be handled by the RNN, CNN together with RNN. So RNN can identify this sequence. CNN cannot identify this sequence, how the sequence of stream is coming and what will be the output. It can just classify it, that's all. That means whether it is J, whether it is A, whether it is 62. So when it is the particular stream is coming in the sequence manner, then this RNN will, this CNN just give us the actual prediction, but it cannot give us that what will be the, or whether it is sequentially give the prediction, that we cannot ensure using the CNN. So at that time, what we have to use? We have to use CNN along with the RNN. Then only we can say that this is particularly very useful in this CNN plus RNN that is used in the automatic number plate recognition. That is one of the other applications for this kind of CNN. Okay, so CNN and RNN is used for sequential kinds of information. Then CNN, this RNN can be used. Okay, now, so this is just the what I have discussed so far. One is called machine learning. After that, I am moving to deep learning. So when to use machine learning, when to use deep learning? The next point that should come into our mind, that when to use machine learning and when to use deep learning. This machine learning, there are some difference on the machine learning and deep learning. In case of functionality, both take the data, but in case of deep learning, if we compute the data, obviously after the machine learning, deep learning will use the neural network. That means the features will be more. For high dimensional data, for high dimensional features, whether there are more features, we should use deep learning. At that time, machine learning may not work properly. Okay. For example, that if I say handwritten recognition, both support vector machine, that will work, again deep learning will work, or CNN will work. But CNN will always give you the better accuracy, because it will try to explore more features. Okay, it will try to explore more features from different angles, and that's why this deep learning will give us the better prediction. Next one is dependency on the data. This deep learning performs well with more data. That means if there are more data, millions of data, then deep learning will work more than or it will give us the more perfect result than the machine learning. Okay. Then next one is computation power. Now, if I want to going to process this machine learning and deep learning, then we find that simple CPU that is sufficient to work with the machine learning. But if we are going to work with deep learning, then we need GPU, or graphical processing unit. Why? Because it works with the image, and image processing, image means actually it will convert the image into different pixel of matrices. And whenever we are using the processing the image, it uses huge amount of processing unit, and that kind of processing unit is not possible using the CPU. Okay, if we want to run the particular CNN model using the CPU, it will become very, very slow, and ultimately the machine become hang if it contains the large number of data. So at that time, the deep learning will be used, and at that time, GPU is necessary to run this deep learning model. Okay, training time. Now, deep learning network training time could be between 5 hours to month because it contains huge amount of data. That's why whenever we are talking about huge number of data, this deep learning network training time is much more than the particular machine learning. Whereas in case of traditional machine learning, it can be trained within a few minutes to few hours. So if we consider the timing, deep learning is used for more timing than the machine learning algorithm. Okay. Similarly, medical image processing, any kind of cancer detection, diabetes detection, any kind of skin problem, that can be accurately used by the deep learning. Natural language processing, just I mentioned that Netflix, that will use the recommendation system to recommend movies to user based on their interest. Photo tagging, this is also the part of the natural language processing or machine learning and deep learning. Information retrieval, the search engine, both text and search, image search, Google, Amazon, Facebook, these are all different types of information that can be easily used by the industrial use cases. Okay. Now, computer vision. So it is used for various kind of vehicle number plate identification, facial recognition, self-driving car, identifying medical issue symptom. These are the used for the particular machine learning or deep learning. Basically, computer vision is the part of the deep learning. Similarly, any kind of fraud detection, phishing, malware, suppose we are doing the online transaction, at that time, any kind of fraud detection can be easily identified by this particular machine learning and deep learning. And deep learning, especially nowadays, deep learning is so powerful. The sum of the architecture is so powerful, it can give more prominent results that human cannot understand. Suppose there is some blurred image, that we cannot identify the blurred image clearly. But this convolution neural network of deep learning is so powerful that it will try to compare those blurred image with try to find a pattern which is similar to the image that is already trained, and then it will give us the prediction, accurate prediction. And that's why this deep learning nowadays, or CNN, especially the CNN, heavily used in case of any kind of medical image processing, any kind of smart city projection. These are heavily used for this kind of deep learning. Finally, this machine learning and deep learning, this is the new era actually that will simply transform our society to the digital society, because everything you find in the near future, what's happened, we don't need to write anything. What we are thinking, thinking, even it can capture our brain and it can write according to that. So our the future is totally technology driven, totally driven by the particular artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, everything. Suppose we are going to any kind of shopping mall, and I don't know what is the product, how to select the product. This machine learning or artificial intelligence will tell us, it will give us the direction that this is the product is there, and on the basis of that, we can simply move there. Suppose we want to find out where to find a particular best thing. So there is some association rule that is also used in the machine learning, and machine learning will tell us. So what is the objective for machine learning or deep learning is that all kinds of facility or features that we cannot think before, that we can do using the help of this particular machine learning and deep learning. In fact, altogether, these are the all application of the artificial intelligence. Okay, so it is actually digitally transform our entire features. That is all about because I have not technically tell you what is the convolution neural network, because that is totally, it will take minimum 2 to 3 hours time to discuss everything about the CNN or convolution network or architecture or deep learning. Okay, because one of the part, it will take much more. Just I give you that brief introduction for each of these algorithms and each of these area, artificial intelligence, machine learning, as well as the deep learning. So, thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। সত্যি বোধহয় আর্টিফিশিয়াল ইন্টেলিজেন্সি, মেশিন লার্নিং, ডিপ লার্নিং এটা বোধহয় একটা সেশনে শেষ হওয়ার জিনিস নয়। যত জানবো তত বোধহয় এর থেকে আরো বেশি কোয়েশ্চেন্স মনে আসছে। আমাদের চ্যাট বক্সে এখনো কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন নেই। কারো কি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন আছে স্যারকে? না, কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন যেহেতু আমাদের নেই, আমি আমাদের আইকিউএসসি কোঅর্ডিনেটর ডক্টর রূপা সেনকে অনুরোধ জানাবো আমাদের ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপনের মাধ্যমে আজকের আমাদের অনুষ্ঠানটি শেষ করবার জন্য। ম্যাডাম।
ধন্যবাদ দেবদত্তা। Good evening to our respectable principal, Dr. Shoma Ghosh, our honorable guest, speaker, Professor Siddhartha Roy, my dear colleagues and friends, and to all those who have participated in the webinar today. It is truly a proud privilege and honor to propose vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making the webinar a grand success. Now, first of all, I extend my special thanks to Professor Siddhartha Roy for his excellent presentation this evening. It was really very interesting, very insightful, and I'm convinced that all participants have enjoyed the session thoroughly. I, on behalf of the college and the entire team of organizing committee, including Devdatta Ganguly, faculty department of computer science, Prakash, faculty department of computer science, Pradipta Mukherjee, the convener of seminars and webinars of our college, with of course the principal at the helm, and of course we could not have done this program without the technical help of Atrai Bhattacharya also. So thanks to her too. Actually, sir, thank you so much, and I extend my sincere thanks to you for sharing your academic resource and with us and enlightening us on the machine learning, supervised learning, the under supervised learning, reinforcement learning, the underfit problem, the overfit problem, and how to address them. When to use machine learning and when to go for deep learning, that is gradually pushing us towards technology-driven society. It was really very interesting, sir, I must admit. Hope to hear you again in future. And once again, sir, on behalf of my college, on behalf of my principal, and all the others who have been behind the program to make it a success, I extend my sincere thanks to you again, and for your cordial cooperation for delivering such a brilliant lecture on the theme. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
হ্যাঁ, আজকের প্রোগ্রাম তাহলে আজকে এখানেই শেষ হলো। ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কার।